know, it was 8-9 miles and, to the next place where I could safely come ashore. And that was going to take me 3-4 hours or something. If you think of it as, Jesus, I've got 3-4 hours in this not very nice, sea state of paddling. It's all a bit too much. And and it can really sort of, start getting you down. But I think if you just start breaking it down into small bite-sized chunks, and you just start ticking them off, and so it might just be, right, I'm going to be, the next 10 minutes I'm going to just get through to 12 o'clock, and then I'm just going to, the next bit might be, right, I'm just going to knock out this next mile, or that headland just up there, I just want to get to that next headland, and as you start ticking that off, and then once you get to that, you sort of you give yourself the next chunk to get to.
What is up, everyone? I'm Tom Ball, and this is Second Mind, the show that empowers you to be the greatest version of yourself and better the world. To give you the fuel to master your potential, we showcase the amazing journeys, ideas, and mindsets of inspiring people who live and think differently. Today, I will be chatting to Skip Graham, aka Barefoot Skip, a man who professes he dislikes wearing shoes but dislikes polluted beaches even more. After seeing the ever-increasing amounts of plastic washing up from the sea on beaches in the UK, Skip combined the spirit of adventure with his love for long-distance races to make a positive impact on our plastic problem. He paddled a prone board a massive 1,000 kilometres around the southwest coast, unsupported, to raise money for the 2 Minute Beach Clean charity. The 2 Minute Beach Clean are a charity that combats beach plastic and litter waste, and he also attended beach cleans along the way. And this is just the most recent of his distance achievements. In recent years, Skip has broken records and completed epic challenges in aid of many different charities. So Skip, welcome to Second Mind. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
No worries. So I just wanted to start off by asking, why long distance? What is it that draws you in about the long distance challenges?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not suited to sprints. I don't know. I don't know what it is actually about long distance. It's just something I've found that I can do, I guess. Maybe it's my niche. And not many people do it. So I guess it's interesting because you explore different aspects of yourself. It's a test of the physical, obviously, but very much so of the mental as well. And you discover a lot about yourself, what you're capable of. Lots of stuff like that, really. So, and it's a big adventure. So it's.
Is this something you've had a long history in? Did you do these sort of disciplines through school? Did you
No, not at all,
or anything like that?
No. I never really got into proper competitive sport or anything like that. Sort of, when I was younger. It was sort of literally the journey's been sort of maybe the last no more than 10 years, I guess. Okay. I think some of the first stuff was I started gig rowing, Cornish pilot gigs. And that was great. I love being on the water, and then the dreaded Concept 2 erg started. That was sort of part of the training. And
that's a rowing machine, right? The Concept 2.
It's kind of like the benchmark of that's the standard rowing machines.
Okay.
That's used. And so if you want to race somebody, that's kind of the one that you use. And I started doing longer distances for some reason. I don't even know why, but I found that I could sit there and just keep on keeping on. It kind of suited me. I was never very good at doing the typical 2K sort of sprints. I don't have the body weight really for it. I was sort of just over the sort of 75 kilo sort of mark that takes me from sort of lightweight to heavyweight, and then you're competing with the big 6.5 foot guys that weigh, lots more kilos than what I do. So, but I could sort of, maintain a reasonable average and keep plodding on and maintain a good focus, I guess. So, so that sort of led me to do a guy that I was rowing with. We did. There was a big Children in Need charity event that was being held in Swanage. Lots of different stuff going on, which resulted in a combination of all these different sort of challenges going on, raised sort of about £10,000, which was great. So the bit that we did was we wanted to do 1,000,000 meters tandem on the rowing machine. So we did that, and we broke the record for that at the time, which was great.
Smashed it.
It
was a world record.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. So I was pretty happy with that. And then from that, it led to doing. I did a solo 1,000,000 meters, and again, there was a world record there that I wanted to break for that, which did for my age group. I think it's sort of like the second fastest solo 1,000,000 time. There's a guy in Oz that's got he's just under 5 days. For his 1,000,000 meters, and so maybe down the track I'd probably want to go back and maybe revisit it to see if I could beat him. But yeah, so there was that one, and then we did another tandem, and then from there it gets a little bit addictive. So you're like, right, what's the next challenge? What's the next one? And it always has to be bigger and better, of course. So, which kind of led me, after doing different things, I sort of did a paddle for Surfers Against Sewage a couple of years ago now, in a outrigger canoe, Tahitian type thing. So it's like a 7.2 meter long hull, and you've got what's known as an armour, outrigger on the left side, and you paddle it single bladed like a canoe. And I took that from Falmouth, paddled it unsupported back to Swanage, about 250 miles. So that was a good little journey, and then that was kind of, I guess, maybe a little foundation to doing the prone this year. That was a bit of an extension of that. It was like, right, I want to do something a little bit longer, and the prone, it's a bit harder in some respects, in that you don't have a paddle, you're just paddling with your hands, and obviously trying to keep all of your gear, on the board as well. But I guess I should say that for those that aren't familiar with it, the prone is prone paddleboard is a bit different from the sup that most people are familiar with, in that you're laid down in the prone position or kneeling, and just paddling with your hands. You're not stood up. It's quite thin, so it doesn't have the stability there like the sup does. But actually, by the time I'd loaded all of my gear, sort of I had a bag, a sort of bow and then one on stern, it sort of raised all the centre of gravity. So pretty much for the whole duration, I was just laid prone, because the stability was sort of a little bit shot with the way I'd loaded it up with all of my kit. So.
Did you find that posed some physical issues? Because that's quite a strange position for your body to be in. If you are doing when a 10-hour
you're typically
day or
paddling
something.
prone, it's nice to be able to switch between being prone and up on your knees. It's nice to switch it up. You get to move around a little bit more and stuff like that. So being sort of stuck, in the prone position, sort of, it takes it out of that a little bit more. So it did add to it, and also you're sort of, you don't get to see what's going on. Like you're so low to the water, and you've got this bag in front of you with your kit on it, and there's a Z fold thermarest mattress type thing stuck to it, so you can't really see what's going on, and so you're constantly trying to look around and see where you're headed, make sure you're still tracking kind of in the right direction at the same time as taking on water, spilling over the bow and stuff like that. So there's lots
a lot of things
challenges
to think about.
Yeah.
Definitely. So the route you took was around the southwest. It sort of mirrored or was parallel to the coast path, right?
Yeah, so exactly. So you've got the Southwest Coast Path, which is a 630-mile path, which starts at Minehead in Somerset. It goes all the way around and finishes at the Poole Harbour entrance in Dorset. And actually, I did try to do the Southwest Coast Path a couple of years back. I tried to do it barefoot, and I was like, right, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try and do it as fast as the guys that are doing it, with shoes. And again, I was unsupported, so I'm like carrying on my kit. And about 4.5 days in, my feet just like blew up like this. It was just a constant pounding of hard ground. So I sort of did about 140 miles, and they were just hurting. So like at night they were just throbbing all through the night, and just the size. I was like, I'm gonna have to pull the plug, and and that's gutting to have to, to not complete something, to have to sort of go, I'm gonna have to. You want to keep going on, but to have to make the call to go, I'm not going to make it on this one. It's hard, but it's a good learning experience at the same time. So I think there's value in that. So you gain from it still. You just have to sort of reflect on it and go, okay, well, I didn't do it that time, but there'll be another time, and you just learn from that, and you put it into the next one. So Southwest Coast Path, it's such an amazing path. It's so diverse all the way along. It constantly changes, and just magical. And it's right here on our doorstep. I'm sort of Dorset based, and so I've got some of the path there, and it's somewhere that I never got tired of sort of running. Each day that path can be different. Whether it's you just going through the seasons and the different weather and people that you meet, and it could be lots of different stuff. And it's all right here, and it's one of those things that we have tons of adventure right here on our doorstep, and places that we miss out on unless we actually get out there and start exploring it. It's right here in our backyard, and that was one of the things about paddling it. And when you see it from the sea as well, there's the coast path is great and spectacular scenery, but there's something magical about when you're seeing it from the water.
New perspectives on it.
Yeah. So I paddle a lot around Old Harry Rocks, Studland, and again, just no matter how, I paddle a lot, and it never gets boring. Every day is different, and I've walked and run across the top loads, and it's spectacular. But there's something about seeing it from the water perspective as well. So getting that different view of it is great.
Backtracking a little to what you were saying about like the challenges where you didn't get to quite where you wanted to be, like with the 140 mile run instead of the longer run barefoot. Yeah. What is the sort of cutoff point in your mind when you say, because obviously you're pushing through suffering a long way before that, things are hurting, like problems with the muscles and the feet are hurting. What point do you say, okay, now this is becoming a real issue? Because it's hard to define that personally, right?
It is really hard, because you have to expect, I think, some suffering, because if it was easy, like everybody would do it, I think I'd find myself saying that a lot, really. So things are going to get hard. And I don't know. It's a really tough one to call. You don't want to call the end to something for lots of different reasons. I think there's obviously going to be an aspect of pride in there. I think it's hard not to have that. You don't want to be letting people down. Especially if you're doing something where you're trying to get sponsorship. Like a lot of the stuff I've done, it's been trying to raise money for different charities and stuff like that. So, you don't want that. That's you're like, you've got these people who've donated money. You want to keep on going, because they've invested in you, they believe in you, and stuff like that. There's going to be hard times, so you're like, right, well, this is just a hard time, push through it. Because quite often you can look back on something that you've done and you're like, well, actually, it was hard for a time, but, that's maybe it's just a mindset at the time as well. You're like, well, actually, looking back on it, it was hard, but maybe not quite as hard as I was maybe making out at the time. You just have to, get it through your system. So, having had that experience, you're like, well, I've got to push on through this, because I'm sure when I look back at the end, it'll be a little blip and it'll be fine. Sometimes it's just around the corner, the clouds part and the sun comes out and stuff like that, and everything gets better, and you find your second wind, or third or fourth or whatever it might be for that thing. So you have to keep pushing on because there's that aspect. You never know that, whether everything's just going to get better just around the corner. But then you have to get to the point where you're like, actually, no, I have to be sensible. Either if there's a danger to yourself or others or something like that, you have to sort of be able to put your hand up and go, not this time. And it's I find it a hard one to call. There's lots of things telling you to give up along the way. So in a way, it's easy to give up in some respects. For others, it's hard. It's quite hard to sort of to explain. It's there's lots of things telling you that you just give up or do that. It's hard. You can go home and get some rest, get in a nice comfy bed. You're not going to have to bivvy out on those rocks tonight and all the rest of it. So there's lots of things telling you it's fine to you've done this, it's enough. There's always that, but at the same time, you don't want to quit.
It's amazing what the mind, it starts to kind of invent really good reasons why you shouldn't do things that might involve some pain or suffering along the way.
Absolutely.
It's crazy what it will do.
And this is where the mental aspect comes in, I think, on that. I think sometimes the body could just keep going if it wasn't for the fact that the mind is playing tricks on you or telling you to stop or whatever. And that's where sometimes the battle is. You're fighting with the elements, but you're probably fighting with yourself as well. And that would be true of the paddle when things were getting rough out on the water and it was all a bit washing machiney, and especially when your head's like this far off the water and you're looking at swell that's sort of, it seems like it's towering above you. It's probably not. It's probably only like 2-3 foot or something, but it's big enough that it's when it starts pushing you about and you don't have as much control on your direction, and you're having to sort of brace to stop yourself being pushed off the board, and you're constantly getting water over the top of you, and you're taking on you're drinking a lot of water as well, which is never good when it's salt water. But with all that, you get the internal monologue going, and then you're fighting the ocean, which you're never going to win. But I would find myself sort of venting at the ocean. There would be some cursing going on, but that was me just trying to deal with it. I guess that was how I dealt with it, because there's no one around, so it doesn't matter. They can't hear you.
True. I think they'd understand if they saw you out there.
So you're just you're cursing at the wind and the waves and stuff like that. But essentially, it's you battling you for a lot of it. But it's being able to just keep on moving forward.
Focusing on that next.
If you're walking, it would be just putting one step in front of the other. All the time that you're moving forward, that's it's a good thing. The moment you stop, or you start going backwards, that's bad. So if I could just keep paddling, and if I was still, even if I was going slow, which happened, there was my average speed wasn't great for it. I was setting no record pace sometimes, especially if the wind and tide and everything's against you. And sometimes I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm hitting an average 2 mile an hour here, which is just mentally it's a killer. So if things are rough and you've got a 5 mile an hour average, you're like, well, yeah, it's rough, but I'm making good progress. So it just changes everything. But when it's even half as rough, but tides against you, winds against you, whatever, and you're only hitting 2 miles an hour or something, you're like, starts taking its toll. So it's trying to push past that, push through it, keep on going. But obviously with the ocean, you've got to give it the respect. And one of the things I set out to try and keep in mind was not to push anything, where there was too much risk, where I put risk my life, but also that of anybody that any rescue services and stuff like that. So that was something that from the start it's I've got no time frame for this. There's no fastest known time that I'm looking to to beat on this. I'm not really set up for that anyway. I'm carrying all my own kit. There's that sort of stuff. So it's just like, if it's bad and it's too risky, I stay ashore that day. And which I had to do quite a few times, which was very difficult. It's really difficult sitting ashore going, when's it going to change? That for me was a killer. I spent like 2 days imbued, and they're all lovely places, but like when you're sat there and really what you want to be doing is getting back out on the water and getting some miles in that day. It sucks to be sort of, so I was there 2 days imbued, 1 day in Clovelly.
Clovelly's a beautiful place as well.
Again,
not the worst place to be stuck.
Exactly. I love Clovelly. But when you're stuck there, it's different. And again, like a couple of days in Osmondton Mills and somewhere else where I was stuck as well. Yeah, and stuff like that. That's hard. But sometimes you head out and everything's fine, but you turn a corner and everything changes. You're like, all of a sudden the wind's there that you've been sheltered from. You've been in the lee of it maybe for a little bit, or it's just picked up, or the tide turns. You're like, oh, I thought I had the tides, I thought that was meant to do this. And either I've messed it up, or it's just funny water in that area, or you've got like a big sort of like counter current, bit of an eddy type thing going on, or something like that. And so things can change really quickly. Out there on the ocean, so it's something you have to be wary of, and it's stuff that you have to battle against, and because like the board that I had, it was pretty good. It took me a while to find. There's not many prone boards, in the UK, especially sort of 14 foot, which is the one that I had. They're mostly sort of the shorter ones, but for sort of like surf life saving style sort of competition stuff, so you don't see many of sort of 12 foot 14 or longer. You just don't really get them here. So and also it had to be light enough that I could carry it and all my stuff. So but the trade-off for that was that it was like you're super fragile, so you have to treat it like glass, and so it really reduced where you could sort of land basically. So a lot of my planning for the day ahead would be, right, what's this coastline like, where's the next place that I can paddle into safely, that's going to be one, I don't cause injury to myself, or like end up with a broken board, which then sort of kills the whole sort of expedition. So and sometimes that it might be a good 2-3 hours at least, might be even longer till the next safe place where you can sort of come ashore to rest or find food and stuff. One of the things with the limited room that I had on the board and sort of the amount of weight that I could carry was I didn't have space for a camp stove and carrying coffee and food and all those sort of things. So I was just, it was literally, right, the next, where's the next place that I can get breakfast or coffee or something like that, and that dictated sort of where I would sort of pull into next a lot of the time. So my daily routine would typically be, because nothing seems to be open, especially in Cornwall here, nothing seems to be open sort of, before 10. So you're waking up, you're on the water, you paddle for 3 hours before you're getting breakfast. And that was quite interesting actually, because it's like, typically my normal day would be, I don't function without coffee and breakfast and stuff. But actually I found that you're quite capable of functioning and functioning quite well. And I could easily, in reasonable conditions, I can punch out some decent miles for 3 hours and wasn't hungry. And I think whilst obviously I've lost a little bit of weight over the expedition, I never felt depleted on energy. I think your body taps into the reserves that you sort of have that you don't realise that you have. And I think that's something I'd probably like to explore maybe a little bit more. And I know there's I think there's a few podcasts and other articles and stuff out there on people that sort of have explored this whole aspect of what are we actually capable of if we don't have our normal sort of regular feeding times and that sort of stuff. And I think we're capable of more than we think that we are. Once we're pushed to it, or once we're in tune as well to knowing that we can do that.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
I remember hearing about, I think it's Ross Edgerly who did the
Yes.
Great British Swim, did the whole way around the Great British Isles, and he talked about the central governor theory. I think that's the way to describe the way that your brain will put this sort of limiter on you, your physical abilities, because it wants to keep you safe, which is a really valid thing to do. Like, you need to stay safe, but people have learned how they can kind of like start to push this barrier further and further out.
Yep.
And I guess it's doing it in such a safe way, like you're talking about the safety, like pushing through these limits. It's about doing it in such small increments that you're not going to go too far and then cause yourself massive injury, because then that can destroy, you know, if that's your career, or the whole like adventure and possibly future missions too. So it's a delicate balance, I guess.
But no, there's I think it's finding our limits with lots of things is it's a great area to explore, and one we should all explore, and we all can, I think, even if it's just like little mini event. It doesn't have to be, I was out there for 5 and a bit weeks, I think, in total, but there's loads of stuff that people can do just of a weekend or something like that, and just finding our own, pushing our own little boundaries and finding what we're all capable of. I think we're all capable of much more than we give ourselves credit for. So it's something we should get out there and do. Sure.
Yeah. I've always had the experience when I've done like little adventures, even if they're very small ones. It's something so rich that my mind can soak up. Like, it's not just the usual experience of like going into a job or a routine. I think routines are a great thing, but yeah, just having something like novel and new for your mind to kind of like get to process is a really good thing, and it gives you so many lessons. And the whole kind of point of it is unpredictable things, like you were saying, that come along, like all these lessons that come forward, and it's a really good opportunity for growth. It'd be great to see more people. Not everyone has to go 1,000 kilometers to like get their own lessons and progression, but it'd be great, on the bank holiday weekend we just had, like, get people outside, and I think nature plays a big part in it as well.
Absolutely.
When usually these adventures are in nature, like in the sea or
I think the more that people can get out in nature, the better. And there's tons of studies that show the benefits of it for all sorts of stuff. It should be prescribed, for lots of different things, I think. It's, I don't know, just get out there, get outside. Get out there and do stuff. It doesn't have to be, a massive adventure, but just get out there and immerse yourself in it, and it's enriching, like you say. And then there's skills there that you learn that you can then apply to your job, your life, your family life. I don't know. There's lots to it, I think.
Okay. So you said it took about 5.5 weeks to complete the paddle. Was that like? I know you said you weren't doing it as a race, but was it kind of on target in your mind about?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was going to take anywhere between sort of 4 and 6 weeks. So it didn't overrun, which I was pleased about. I guess towards the end, you're like, I don't know, a little bit of me was like, oh, is it sort of dragging a little bit now? But it's. Could I have done it a little bit quicker? Maybe a little bit. But then, like some of it was down to conditions. Some of it I did take. I took 2 days out. There was, because normally I paddle outrigger canoes, and there was an outrigger race and stuff going on at Carbis, and I just happened to be like passing that point at the same time. So I took like a whole weekend to hang out with the guys that I sort of normally paddle with and do that. So that was but because there was no timer on it, and I didn't have to be at anywhere by a certain time. I could afford to do that, I guess. But if it was, I think it was good for me to like sort of have it sort of slow down a little bit, because I'm normally of a nature where I'd be like, right, got to get there and try and smash some more miles. So it was good to sort of say, no, it's all right. We can just settle on like 15 miles today. That's kind of enough. We've got food here. We've got amenities here. This is a good place to stop for the day. Sure, okay. We could paddle for an extra couple of hours, and that would get, or whatever. But this is good. I think I could have done it too quickly, maybe. I think there was a benefit in doing it in the time that I sort of did do it, and also it did allow for some time to meet up with some really cool people along the way, which was actually one of the best parts about it, actually, in hindsight. So
for the beach cleans.
Yeah, so meeting people and doing either little beach cleans or just meeting them and chatting with them. Especially some of the people that I sort of kind of knew already through the 2 Minute Beach Clean family, if you like, that's on Instagram and stuff like that. And so you're kind of part familiar, but yeah, you don't generally meet these people in real life. So that was really great being able to meet, catch up with people, and you learn and you grow from meeting all these different people, and you get their insights into stuff, and because they're sort of, they're your tribe that you've sort of, gravitated towards, I guess. Which is one of the cool things about, I really like Instagram for that aspect, that you find your little tribes that you sort of associate with, and you can learn so much and be inspired so much, because there's so many people out there doing amazing things, and I probably would never have come across a lot of these people had it not been for that platform, whether it's because they're part of the 2 Minute Beach Clean family, or whether it's just through whatever sort of other hashtag or whatever, but you just become sort of, form these connects, and and it's fantastic, I think. So, but no, like meeting the people I met along the way, like early on, someone had asked me, so what's what's been the best part of your paddle so far? And I was like, there's some of the, like, North Devon, North Cornwall, some of the sunsets. I'm not used to seeing the sun dropping into the sea, being where I am, sort of on the south there. I was like, that's spectacular, and like this formation and that headland and that sort of stuff, and some of like the barrel jellyfish blooms and some of the crystal clear water and all these different things, and they were great, they were spectacular. But at that point, I thought they were the best things. But actually, as I went along, I realised that actually meeting some of these people, that was some of the best parts of the paddle, which surprised me, because for me it was always about doing the big distance and paddling it and doing it relatively quickly or whatever. That was my tick of that was a successful expedition.
And it was unsupported as well, huh? You took all your own gear, and it's quite an independent mission. Yeah, so being able to do that and being independent,
those sort of things were, they were my measures of success, if you like, for the expedition. But actually, the big value was in those people. So I do need to remember that. That's something I need to not forget, because I think I could easily just slip back into kind of normal life and forget how much value is in with those people that you meet along the way. And like I said, there's some people that are doing phenomenal things. I mean, I was really lucky. I got to meet people like Martin Dory, founder of 2 Minute Beach Clean, and Dolly, and loads of other people along the way, and just stuff that they like put in of their own time, and what they've achieved, and the massive positive impact that they have on people all around the world. It's huge. So they're so inspiring. So it's great to meet them, and just they just continue to inspire me to want to do more, really. So it's kind of like now thinking ahead. Okay, what's the next thing? So we'll see. There's things in the pipeline, hopefully. So we'll see.
And the 2 Minute Beach Clean you mentioned a moment ago, how come you decided to fundraise for the 2 Minute Beach Clean for this mission of yours?
I don't know. I guess it's like I've really gravitated towards them as my sort of I constantly say the 2 Minute Beach Clean family, because it feels like such a family network of people. They're all so supportive, and yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to sort of articulate, but I guess you have to sort of, be a little bit involved to maybe fully understand it. But probably not. Maybe it's very obvious from the outside still. But like I say, you've got so many individuals dotted all across the country and the world who sort of will use the 2 Minute Beach Clean hashtag, and they're out there doing, well, we said, like, obviously it's 2 Minute Beach Clean, but a lot of them are doing, much longer than 2 minutes. But so the great work that they're doing with either keeping their little patch clean, or they're doing things like, you've got like people like Kitty Kipper, who does like, she weaves, like ghost rope and stuff like that, and they all have their individual little things that they do, and they're all inspiring, huge amounts of people to go out there and either go and do a 2 minute beach clean, or to try and reduce their single-use plastics, or I don't know, like just spread the word. All these different things, which we really need to be doing now. And this our dependency on single use is, we really got to move away from that. And if we can get people out there, sort of, helping doing a 2 minute beach clean, or it doesn't have to be by a beach. This could be whether it's their park or their suburban street or something like that. It's just going to make our world a little bit better. But it has so many knock-on effects. Because picking up what's on the beach, doesn't solve the problem of it getting there in the first place. But what I think it does is it gets people thinking about, how does this get here? And one, I guess, is people leaving stuff. But two, it's like, there's stuff that washes up. Okay, where does that come from? And it's getting people thinking that, well, if it's in a street, it gets blown into a drain, goes into a drain into a river, goes out into the sea. And what is it? What are they picking up? A lot of it's, related to this, like I say, single use. So it's, whether it's plastic bottles, caps, remnants of bottles, a whole bunch of stuff. You start seeing patterns in what you're picking up. I always find a lot of fishing related stuff. I think the stat is over 50% of the plastics and stuff that's in the ocean is fishing related, whether that's things like quills, ghost net, rope, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that might just be like, so Bude, where I was this morning, I went took a prone board for a bit of a surf. It was dreadful. I was rubbish, but coming back, and it looks really clean. But then you look a little bit closer, and on the tie line there's like little bits of either it's small monofilament, or it's small bits of rope, and it's I've seen enough of it now to sort of recognise the type and where it's come from, and you're like, this is all sort of fishing related, which I think is something we kind of need to address. But as individuals, we can, there's no need to why buy bottles of water? It doesn't make any sense. It's it's an expensive way of drinking water. We need to get into habits, and it's easy to do. We can make little changes. I'm not saying people should go out there and just overnight change everything that they're doing. It's not really realistic. But just start with, if you're going to go for a coffee, just spend 5 minutes and enjoy it and have it in. If it's that kind of place where you just sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee. Don't have it on the run. If you must have it on the run and it's something you do regularly, then just get into the habit of taking a cup with you. Most places offer a discount, so that's good.
There's also an element of, like you were saying before, some of the days when you were getting onto the paddleboard and you had to skip breakfast, didn't have your coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a little bit of a pain at the start, but then you realise, actually, I'm a really powerful person that doesn't necessarily need like every comfort that I want in my life, and I can get by really well without it and do something extraordinary.
Yeah.
I think, not everyone has to quit their coffee, obviously, but it's just an interesting, I guess, insight from your experience.
Yeah, and there's times now if I've where I won't have a coffee sometimes if I'm like, I don't have my keep cup on me. They don't have an option for you know, for either having it in a real cup or whatever. It's like, well, okay, well, skip it. I don't really need it. I like, you know, don't get me wrong, I like coffee.
Yeah.
I'm maybe a little bit too dependent on coffee. It's probably something I could cut down on, or probably should do. But, you know, that's. But yeah, you just like, sometimes you're like, well, you know, do I really need it? Maybe not. But you just you just form habits, and you know, you just you just start with one thing. You know, just start. Right, just start carrying a reusable bottle with you, maybe, or you just start with your coffee cup, and then you'll find that okay, that becomes embedded. And it's not really a big deal anymore. You know, my keep cup, it's gone all around the world with me. You know, I've definitely got my money out of it. It's, you know, it's been on any of the paddles and different stuff that I've done. It's, yeah, you know, there's no reason if I can take it with me for, you know, on a paddle, then I'm sure someone can on their, you know, commute to work or something like that. But you know, if we can start making these little changes, I guess what we should be getting to is, you know, just start out with some little changes and then just, you know, build on that. Yeah, and you find it's not really that hard in the end.
I guess it's kind of similar to the paddle as well. Some things might be difficult, but you just need to take it one step at a time and start with something small, like literally, you know, the next 5 meters. And for some, that could be, just having that exchanging their like bottled water for having a reusable bottle and just one thing, and then working on the next thing and the next thing.
And, and it becomes embedded as a habit, and then it's not a big deal anymore because it's just something that you do.
Yeah.
So you know, we adjust. That's you know, it's one of the human traits, isn't it? Really, like a lot of us maybe don't like change or breaking old habits or whatever, but actually we're very good at adjusting if we want to or need to. So, there's no reason why we can't do that.
And there's the 2-minute beach clean is a really cool concept, I think, because people hopefully will be seeing things that they can, as well as the fishing nets and stuff, maybe products that they've used in the past, and it's almost like a witnessing of this big circle of how the environment works. And you know, it doesn't just, like when it goes off in the rubbish bag, it doesn't just magically disappear with the wizard.
No.
It's going to end up somewhere, and now we're experiencing that a lot of it is ending up in the sea. So hopefully that can really change behaviours and saying, oh, that's a Coke bottle like the one I used just the other day. Maybe an eye-opening moment for some people. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, like kids, they're really responsive to it. I mean, they love it. They love getting involved in a 2-minute beach clean. You know, I guess like because I presume you're familiar with it, but like there's the A boards, which there's 785 or something now across sort of like the whole of the UK, which is amazing, and that's growing all the time. And so they will have like litter pickers and bags and stuff like that. And so, the kids love getting out there with litter pickers. And, you know, they're our hope for the future, I guess, in a way. And, you know, they'll probably like teach the adults a thing or two.
And no equipment then, so you just go along. It obviously doesn't cost anything. You just take the equipment.
So you just on the board. You like typically, if I'm doing a beach clean for myself, I just grab stuff and collect it. But you got the grabbers there and the bags, and yes, it's it's such an easy concept because it's like everybody can spare really like 2 minutes. That's all it takes. If everybody was doing that, it just changes the whole mentality of everything, and makes it a better place. We have these beautiful spots that people go to because they're beautiful, pristine areas of coast or the hills or whatever it might be. You wouldn't go there if it was like full of trash, but for some people they go there because it's beautiful and then like get up and leave all their trash behind. That's one aspect of it. I'm not saying that's everything that you pick up, but it's addressing those that sort of want to leave their trash behind. But the other aspect is that which is washing up from the ocean, and we only see a fraction. So it's what is it, like less than 1%? I think actually washes up on the beaches.
So the iceberg.
There's a scary amount that's out there. And there's stuff that washes up which dates back 30, 40 or more years. People are constantly finding like I don't know, old crisp packets or whatever from decades ago.
It's interesting to see those packets. It's kind of cool to see the packets come
It's
back.
cool to see, because
at the
like,
same time,
I
like
remember it looking
it's
like that.
horrifying, because you're like, wow, and they're almost like not even degraded to a large extent, which shows just how persistent that will be in the environment.
Yeah,
crazy stuff.
Yeah, and you know, our usage of single-use plastics has only got more and more each year. So you know, if we're seeing stuff come up now from 30 years ago, when really it wasn't like as big a thing, like there weren't as many people, you know, buying plastic bottles of water, or you know, having a ice cream tub with a plastic spoon in it, or whatever it might be. You know, whereas now it's so much prevalent. So imagine in like 30 years' time how much stuff would be coming up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
who do you think needs to move first? Do you think it's the consumers or the producers? Because there's a lot of companies making these.
You know, there's everyone. You get like lots of people say, "Oh, yeah, well, it's you know, it's the producer's fault," and obviously, yeah, it is. But yeah, you know, I think we have to take action ourselves, because that'll drive change anyway with our habits, our spending habits, and what we choose to buy, what we choose not to buy, and stuff like that. That's going to be a driver. Companies absolutely need to take more responsibility on what they're producing, and you know, I guess, you know, the government needs to get, you know, take some responsibility as well. It needs to come from everywhere. I think it's too easy to say, well, it's not really me, it's them, and they need to do it, because it just goes around and nothing really happens. It's not ideal. You know, I hate it when I go to the supermarket, and especially because, you know, where I am in Purbeck, there isn't really a big supermarket near me unless I go and drive over to Poole or something. And you don't get the choices. You're like, oh, it's all wrapped in plastic, you know, and sometimes you can't escape it. But where you do have a choice, you know, that's where you need to be. And sometimes you have to make a hard decision and go, well, actually, no, I'm not going to buy it this time, or find other places where you can get it from. And it's not always easy. It's not always doable. And there's loads of stuff I want to change with my own habits. You know, it's all a journey. You know, we're all constantly growing, learning, changing, and stuff like that. And there's loads of things that I want to change with my day-to-day sort of life. I've got a lot of improvements that I want to make, and it's constantly looking for ways that I can sort of start and keep on making those small changes, which you know, I'd like to think I'm on the track of making changes, but I know that there's much more that I need to do. You know, I live in a van, have done for kind of 2.5 years. That came about because I think I read the Marie Kondo book, or I'm sure that was a big part of it. And I was like, right, I'm going to minimise everything and that sort of stuff. And I was looking at where I was living, and I was in a big 1-bedroom flat on my own. And there was like a whole room I didn't even use. Just I had full of junk and stuff like that. So I started like getting rid of stuff and that sort of thing. And it just led me on this track to living in a van. But being in a van now, not having, you know, a kitchen and a fridge, a proper fridge, and all that sort of stuff, does mean that some of my food choices now are, you know, there is more plastic involved, and you know, it's and I do dislike that aspect of where I am, and so that's one of the things that I want to be looking at in my life and changing. But at least I'm kind of thinking, well, you know, at least I've reduced that aspect to my life. You know, the whole living in a big place and heating it and all that sort of stuff. But you know, there's always something more, I think, that we can all do. I know there is that I can do, so I'm sure there is for other people as well.
It's an interesting balance of there is always more we can do, but also not being too hard on ourselves at the same time. We don't want to then sort of shut people down from taking action, but it can, if you just look at it as one big issue, seem insurmountable. Like we could never do something about this.
And we'll just get really down about it.
It
just becomes too big for us. Little bite-sized chunks. It's one thing at a time. But we can all make a difference, and I think that's one thing that that we all need to remember. And some people just like, well, what difference is it, if I do this, that, or the other? I'm not going to make a difference. Well, you see the thing banded around, social media a lot. One straw won't make a difference, said 7 billion people type thing, and you apply that to anything. We can make a difference. That's what we need to remember. As consumers, we definitely can make a difference if we change our spending habits. The companies that we give money to, what we buy, how we buy it, and stuff like that. We definitely can. That's
I guess it's important as well to acknowledge we need a transfer of our mindset to see ourselves more as part of nature, and then future decisions sort of basing those around the fact that we are sort of the planet is one system. And we've only got one home, even though it seems like I live in Devon, you live in Dorset, but actually when you talk about plastics, when you talk about climate change, like these issues eventually will affect everyone and everything.
Absolutely.
When it gets to a certain extent. So it's really, I hope the future will contain a place where people will more easily have the mindset of just, okay, we are human beings, but we share this earth with everyone else.
Like this whole thing of we all live on the same planet. Forget borders and countries and nationalities and stuff like that, and what we do does affect more than our little our little sphere. It does. And because people need to sort of remember that just because they don't see, if they go to a beach down the road and it's lovely and clean, doesn't mean to say that there's not a problem. It's because the beach around the corner or 100 miles away or across the sea somewhere else, and what we do might have a knock-on effect to somewhere else around the world, which does come back to bite us. It's it's all circular, really. I guess now you're looking, it's all just come out of the wash that we've been sending all of our plastic and stuff to, whether it's Malaysia or whatever. Now that's now it's sort of being put a stop to, so we're going to be dealing with that. No, I definitely think you're absolutely right. We need to be thinking that as we're all together in this. And all of our actions have an impact somewhere, even if we don't see it.
Hopefully the systemic change will come soon, but you're right, it's got to be a marriage of all members of the community and business and individuals who are shopping in the supermarket, and every stage of how we function, really. So one step at a time, but we can slowly just transform everything, really.
Absolutely. I think we have to keep that in our minds, because otherwise, like I say, you can get bogged down, and there's so many things going on in the world at the moment. And sometimes you're like, it's just all too much, and I can't make a difference. But no, I think we can. And even if it's just talking about things, or just being mindful of maybe what we share on Facebook and stuff like that. But I don't think we realise how we either affect or inspire other people. Those people are either around us, whether they're in our family or in our sort of social network groups and stuff like that. And occasionally you get someone go, I saw what you did with that, and I went and did a 2-minute beach clean with my daughter and stuff like that. And you're like, it's amazing. And you kind of think, and I know it's like, well, it probably wasn't just because they saw my post on Insta or something. It was probably lots of different things, and they've probably seen other things as well. So I don't think of it as like this like ego boost stuff, but we have to be, I guess, mindful of what we're putting out there. Will maybe inspire people, for to do good or bad. I guess so. If we can be a positive influence on people. And be mindful of the fact that whilst we might not see it directly, that we might plant that little seed which puts them onto a path to to really get on board with whether it's reducing their single-use plastics or I don't know, all sorts of stuff. You know?
Yeah, it's just like what you can do is so small, but I think we underestimate the kind of ripple effect of how it can contribute to somebody else's life, because maybe we have these sort of thresholds for taking action as human beings, and they get built up slowly by like, oh, okay, I saw that news story about climate change the other day, and then there was this thing that I saw on Instagram about plastics, and then it kind of like builds up. Maybe you can be someone that isn't maybe the sole purpose that they went, the whole sole reason, sorry, that they went to the 2 minute beach clean, but one of those reasons
tip them over the edge. I guess, it might just like get that penny to sort of drop and fall into place. And so we can all be, we can all affect, in a positive way. So I think it's something to be definitely mindful of.
So yeah, coming back to the paddle.
Yeah.
Was there any particular tips you used to sort of manage your like mental state and thought process as you were going round? Were there any new learnings from the 2 minute paddle that you managed to sort of acquire and then implement?
I guess I guess things I've done in the past when it's been, I think especially stuff where if you're sat on a rowing machine for like 5 days doing a solo million meters, you for me, the way to get through that was to break everything down into sort of manageable chunks, small goals, if you like. And it's sort of a tactic that I've sort of employed for different things now, and for me that works, and so that was what I sort of employed for the paddle. I think if I knew I had, I don't know, it was 8-9 miles and to the next place where I could safely come ashore, and that was going to take me 3-4 hours or something. If you think of it as, Jesus, I've got 3-4 hours in this not very nice sea state of paddling, it's all a bit too much, and and it can really sort of start getting you down. But I think if you just start breaking it down into small bite-sized chunks, and you just start ticking them off, and so it might just be, right, I'm going to be the next 10 minutes I'm going to just get through to 12 o'clock, and then I'm just going to, the next bit might be, right, I'm just going to knock out this next mile, or that headland just up there, I just want to get to that next headland, and as you start ticking that off, and then once you get to that, you sort of you give yourself the next chunk to get to, and by breaking it down, I've always found that it really helps you to sort of get through, because if you just look at it as this like big mountain to climb, it's just it can become a little bit too much. It's like, Jesus, I can't keep paddling for 3 hours straight without I've not had breakfast or coffee or anything, and it's a bit cold, and and I've got the headwind, and it's breaking over the bow, and it's like splash me in the face constantly, and I'm getting it in the eye, and I can't see because I've got like constant salt water in this eye, and and it's the wetsuit's rubbing here, and I don't know, the toggle on the neoprene bottoms is like digging into my belly, and it's rubbing on my foot, and I've got a blister there, and all these different things. It'll just start just start chipping away at you, and it just makes the whole experience worse than what it potentially maybe already is. So if you can just start, for me, focusing on like small sections, and if that's too much, break it down into a smaller section again, and it kind of comes into that sort of thing of just like just one foot in front of the other, or just, as in this case, it was just one arm in front of the other for just do another couple of meters, like just right, another 5 minutes, another 500 meters maybe, and you just make it manageable little chunks, and then before you know it, like, I've kind of got through that now. That's to the right. I'm nearly there. I've got rid of, like, I'm past the halfway mark. It's always good when you're like, right, I've had it's 3 hours of paddling, straight paddling. I've done 2 hours. Right, I've only got an hour, and you just got to think of it as it's not. Oh, damn, I've got there's a whole hour of paddling. I've already been paddling for hours. I'm knackered. I'm getting wet and cold. It's like, no, I've only got an hour. I've done 2 hours. I've only got an hour left now. So so I can do that. I can can push on for another hour. Let's just break it down. Let's just knock out this next 10 minutes. It's just let's knock out the next. There's that. I just want to get round that headland there. And once I got round there, it's a homeward straight. Then I've only got another 2 miles to go or something. So just playing. Your mind plays tricks on you, and for me it was playing tricks on my mind, tricking my
Taking
mind,
advantage of those tricks and playing
tricking
it
my
back.
mind into thinking that it's not as bad. It's only this. That's kind of how I attack it.
Yeah.
That's how I deal with it. I guess everybody's different, but for me that works. It kind of seems to make sense. If you can just break things down into small bits.
I think it's a good method of almost hijacking that small little dopamine hit you might get from meeting a goal. If you a setting, just that headland, then you get around it, and it's almost like that relief. And for a second, you kind of get that release of, you're not worrying about the chafing that's happening in your wetsuit or anything. But then, you got to get back and do those hard paddles again. But then you can just set the next goal and the next goal. So I think that's a really good technique to use when you're taking on an adventure that size.
Mini victories.
Yeah, just taking on that positive mindset.
Yeah.
I saw a TED talk a while ago about mindful running.
Okay.
And I think it maybe could be applied to other endurance things. And
right.
There was a guy who was saying that his technique was to sort of go into the feeling. Okay. Because his theory was that kind of thinking makes it bad. If you see what I mean. So if the chafing's happening, it's not the feeling, it's me thinking it's a negative feeling. So if you can just sort of just focus on the feeling itself. He said it made a lot of difference to him. When he was running, he would just focus on the soles of his feet. And then if something started hurting, he would focus on that. It would almost distract him from the fact that it was negative, and it was just I'm in the feeling.
I think you've got to remember to enjoy it. And I forget about that quite a lot. I have to remind myself quite a lot. I definitely fall victim to that. No, enjoy it. Remember, why are we doing this again? And if you can sort of shift your focus. Although something like rubbing, you do kind of have to address it as well. It depends on what it is. Because otherwise I didn't want to do the paddle and end up looking like Ross Edgley's neck when he was doing the swim, and
that was a bad one,
and stuff like that. So sometimes you have to know when to sort of if you can stop, which is always a tough one for me. It's oh no, I'll just keep paddling, it's all right, I'll just I'll keep going. But it's well, actually you could make it worse, and sometimes it's knowing when to just stop for a second, chuck some stuff on it to to ease the rubbing, because in the long run that's going to make it's going to make it much better. But quite often you sort of keep pushing on. It's all right. But then if it rubs too bad, you then really affect maybe the next day and all the rest of it. So it's depending on what it is. It's knowing when to sort of either stop, sort things out a little bit, and then keep going, or whether just to push through and maybe it's something that will just pass. And sometimes it rubs for a little bit and then it does pass. But
So you talked about sometimes forgetting to just enjoy the present moment on the paddle. Did you get the chance to sort of just take a second and enjoy, you see much wildlife around? You mentioned jellyfish, and did you sort of have time to soak that in as well?
I think because of laying prone on the board and having one of my bags right in front of me, you don't get to see that much, which kind of detracts a little bit from being able to experience the awe of it all. But there definitely were some good bits. Like I said, I it's something I always have to remind myself to make sure I enjoy it, because I sort of get into a bit of a zone of paddling.
Sometimes that's quite necessary though.
Yeah, sometimes it is, absolutely. And sometimes you just have to put your head down and just keep on forging through. But to remember to enjoy it when when the conditions are favourable, then that's you can still paddle and enjoy it at the same time. Wildlife, yeah, there was some cool stuff. No dolphins. Everyone's like, oh, have you seen dolphins and this sort of stuff? And occasionally I'd like get like hear some news snippets or something like that, and there's like, I don't know whether it's basking sharks spotted here or dolphins here and all the rest. And I'm like, oh, that's only just around the corner from me. It's like, but I saw none of that. Annoyingly. Some seals. Typically, I give them a bit of a wide berth because you never know how they might react to some guy paddling along, and I don't know what from underneath from the water, if they see this long sleek board with arms paddling on, they're like, what is that? Is it something we like give it a nudge or a bite or something? I didn't know. I'm sure. I think they're inquisitive, but I never knew to what sort of degree that they might get it, either inquisitive or territorial or something. So typically I'd give them a bit of a wide berth. But yeah, I saw a few seals. But nothing like jellyfish, I guess, was sort of my big one. They were like, like the blooms of the barrels. And it was about that time, I think there was a story came out about one as, 1.5 meters long, as big as a guy type thing. There was a photo of a diver and this barrel jellyfish that was sort of going around. Well, I've been seeing these big ones, and they're just so graceful and otherworldly, and they're just like, it's kind of ghost-like as they like move through the water. They were spectacular when you sort of like you see sometimes you just see the odd one, but then there was times where you just they're kind of like everywhere. You take a stroke, there's another one, and there's another one there, and it was always a bit of a shock though. Again, because I can't always see what's going on. I've got the bag in front of me. My vantage point of looking down into the water, you can't always see what's around. So you're just paddling, and like you touch a jellyfish, and you don't even know what type of jellyfish because it's just you haven't even seen it coming. The amount of times I almost like threw myself off the board, like reacted to it. Like, after a while, I didn't overreact quite as much as I did at the start. But like when you touch this jelly-like thing in the water when you weren't expecting it, like as you've like gone into like paddle, you're like, wow, what is that type thing? Felt like a right idiot, but it's but yeah, they were quite cool. Didn't get any bad stings, which was good. There was a couple of little mild tingly bits, because there's like some you'd see like a few compass jellyfish.
They're quite dangerous.
I don't think they're dangerous, but I think they got a sting to them.
Yeah.
I never like purposely touched one. I saw a few, and like occasionally when I was like got a little bit of a sting, I was like, oh, it might have been a compass. I don't know. I'd seen a few earlier on, so maybe that was one of them. And there was a few other ones that I don't really know the names of, but they were quite cool. But just like rock formations, like just spectacular. Like some of the water super clear in places, and some of the beaches or little coves. Like I love little coves that are out of the way and kind of inaccessible to the normal sort of people, and they're just like these little oasis in amongst everything. It's like, oh, great. And I just wish I could have spent maybe more time on some of those bits. It'd be cool to like, typically I didn't camp up on those because typically I'd be looking for somewhere to come ashore and camp up where there's going to be food and coffee and amenities and beer and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
all the important fuel.
Absolutely. But no, it's pretty cool.
There's also, I think, even if you didn't get to see everything in all the detail maybe you would have liked, there's still an energy that you absorb when you're out in these places. You are still in that environment and present there, even though you are focusing on getting one hand in front of the other and paddling. It's just there's a relaxation that comes with that. I think just being, even if you just close your eyes and you're sitting under a tree on your own or something. There's something really nice there.
There is I recommend thoroughly to anybody to just get out and spend some time on the water, and I think like SUPs are obviously a massive popular type thing now, and the blow up ones have come a long way, and so anybody can sort of like chuck one of those in the boot of the car and stuff like that, and it's a really good tool for getting people out on the water and that sort of stuff. And there's for me, there's definitely something about being either in, on, by the water, and I kind of recommend it to anybody to try and immerse themselves in that. There's a therapy there for sure. I think even when it's bad, there's something good about it. The water. Obviously, you don't need to do it safely. I see these people on the inflatable unicorns and stuff like that, which just the mind boggles. It's blowing offshore, and you've got these kids in inflatables. And actually, I saw it a lot, mostly in Cornwall. A lot of the beaches were like no inflatables, and I think that kind of needs to. I don't want to like ruin people's fun, but they just, it's an accident waiting to happen. I think for a lot of things, but as much as I want to see people get out and enjoy the water, do it safely.
Play safer,
absolutely. Sure. It can be. You can't. The sea will always win. You've got to treat it with respect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun to be had out there. Some great experiences, but you've got to treat it safe at the same time.
It's a humbling thing to sort of witness the power of like all of these different environments, mountains.
I don't think people realise the power behind it. I did try to focus a bit on my safety. Like I said, I wouldn't go out if I thought it was going to be too dangerous. I had a spot tracker, so it meant that one, it's got an SOS button, so if things went really bad, that would sort of call the emergency services. Plus, it sort of had the tracking, so one, they could locate me. Two, even if I was, say, knocked unconscious or something like that, hopefully someone would see that my tracking thing had peeled off and was heading out to sea, and maybe someone would raise an alarm from that. I carried a VHF and a flare, and when I was sort of planning everything, I was like, oh my goodness, like look at all this extra weight and bulk and stuff and all this stuff, but actually, it's necessary, and I think we have to take that a little bit seriously, and be safe. But enjoy it obviously as well. But,
for sure. Yeah. So on the subject of the more adventures, do you think you've got anything in the works coming up soon?
Yeah, I'm sort of floating around a couple of ideas. It's kind of addictive. So there's you get I find there's always a little bit of a lull afterwards. So you do something like this paddle or some of the things I've done before, and you're like, oh, that was great, and then it's like it can be almost like a bit anticlimactic, and you get a little bit of a lull, and so you kind of find yourself like going, right, well, I need to do something else now. Although sometimes that's already like running around inside my head before I've even finished what I'm doing. So, sort of. Maintaining focus isn't always a strong point, I guess, but for me. But so there's a couple of ideas. I don't know. It would be interesting to see what it develops into. Although I might just take myself off and do one immediate thing I was thinking of doing was maybe going off and doing the Southwest Coast Path, but just doing a bit of a walkabout, really, just hitting it and not going for a fast time, but just taking me and just go for a bit of a wander along the path and do that. But for next year, looking at a few things that hopefully could be bigger and better. But until I sort of get a few more bits into place, then it's sort of under wraps a little bit. But
I'm sure we'll come up with something interesting. All the ideas spinning around in there.
Absolutely.
Who kind of have you looked to as different inspirations? Because I guess there's like kind of the endurance side of what you've done and the environmental stuff. Are there specific people who have really like given you something?
I guess there's lots, and I guess they're inspiring for different reasons. So you've got there's people out there doing some amazing endurance stuff. People like your Cal Majors and stuff like that. So she did like the Land's End John O'Groats stuff. Obviously we mentioned Ross Edgley and his sort of GB Swim and stuff like that. So so anybody who's doing long distance stuff is sort of automatically an inspiration for me. We were talking about Tony Riddle earlier before we sort of started the camera rolling, and he's about to set off doing Land's End John O'Groats Barefoot. So that's one I'll be looking at as someone who,
fellow barefooter.
As a little bit envious of that one. So that'll be interesting. Yes, anybody doing especially if they've got either, if they've got an environmental angle to it, sort of even more so, or in respects to doing the barefoot run, that's obviously something that it's in endurance and it's barefoot, which I'm a big advocate of. Don't get me started on shoes and why we should be wearing shoes and stuff. So people like that. But then obviously there's lots of different other inspirations in day-to-day life. Like I was saying before, like some of the people in the 2 Minute Beach Clean community, the stuff that they're doing, their voluntary work, or their, the way that they inspire others to go out there and do good things. They all inspire me to want to go and do something more with my life that's going to hopefully maybe inspire other people to do more with their life, I think. So what I do is, the next challenge that I'm looking towards for maybe next spring, summer, that's, I guess, essentially being inspired by those people that I see, or I started. Funny that we're doing a podcast now, because I've just started trying to listen more to podcasts, and I found that very inspirational. I highly recommend it to anybody. There's this, and you can access it, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify, and there's so much out there, and there's so much inspirational stuff. So like there's inspiration everywhere. I think we might not notice it, so you either start looking for it, or you just start aligning yourself with a cool tribe of people that are out there doing good stuff. And there's lots of people doing good stuff, and it's what keeps me going and keeps me wanting to do more and better things that hopefully will maybe just make this world a slightly better place than maybe what it was yesterday, hopefully. So if I can do that, then it's be happy.
Well, then if the other 7 billion people also do the same thing, we're going to live in a better place.
Absolutely. For sure. And hopefully it's contagious. I'd like to think it's a bit contagious. I think it is. They say like a smile is infectious, and well, why shouldn't good actions? I'm sure are as well. Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were a magical dictator and you had the ability for these 7 billion people across the world to make them do one thing every day, what do you think you'd pick? It could be something like an environmental habit, or it could be a mindset thing, or a practice, or anything.
Good question. I don't know. Where do you even start with that? I guess if you had that power, so each day, so if they could go out and I think if they could just improve themselves a little bit each and every day, by improve themselves, they will improve their family, and then their community, and then their town and city and country, and then the world. I think it comes back to the thing. I think we can all make a difference. Absolutely. Like we need to remember that we do have that power, that like what we do, and our habits, whether it's whether it's we get involved in a local charity and assist homeless people, or we get up there and help an old lady across the road. It doesn't matter what it could be. It could be something really small, something really big. Our day-to-day choices of what we eat. The message that we the things that we share on social media, all that sort of stuff. It all has an impact somewhere, I think. And so if we were to, if you're a dictator, like, right, you all have to do one thing each day that's going to improve you as an individual, times that by 7 billion people, we've got a better world in one day. Imagine what it'd be like in a year's time or 10 years time. And I guess that's where the hope is. We can. There's a lot of things that need changing in the world. We could start getting bogged down into some of the really depressive stuff that's kind of going on out there. And I guess the big one at the moment is like the Amazon and stuff like that. Let's pay attention to what's going on there and start making changes. We can all have a positive impact, I think.
Yeah, and if people are making changes to themselves and then they feel positive about that, it's going to just kind of flow to everybody else, right?
Imagine that energy.
Yeah, the collective energy that produces, even if it's just a small thing, is really good.
Absolutely.
And
I guess energy is one thing that we don't. I guess I was sort of mentioning actions or whatever, but actually, no, energy is a big one. It's not even something that someone maybe sees, but it's something that we feel. Yeah, someone walking down the street, smiling, being happy, it's putting out a good energy that someone's going to pick up on, might just change their day. You never know. If it's the reverse and there's someone walking down the street, in a bad temper, kicking a can, it's not going to make another person passing by happy, is it? So and like I said, I say these things, but I can be just as guilty of walking down the street in maybe a bad mood or whatever. So I need to remember these things, absolutely, just as much as I think anybody else should. So
there was someone who suggested as a one positive thing they did was just to, every time they went to a shop or someone with a service person, they would just say like, "How's your day going?" Like a real just genuine like, "Hey, what's up?" And then engage in whatever transaction or whatever had to happen, because it's so easy to treat people as just like a function of society, but actually just to recognize them as a person, that was their like positive thing.
And it's that whole thing of sounds a bit cliche, but it's you don't know what battles other people are fighting, whether it's that day or in their life or whatever. You don't we forget that we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what they've they might have had a really bad diagnosis from the doctor that morning, or maybe their marriage has fallen apart at home, or anything like that. So you don't know what they're going through, and that. But a little something like that, a little bit of hold the door open and smile for them, or ask them how their day's going, or something. It might just make the world a difference to them. To say about that ripple effect. Before, it's important stuff.
Wicked. What scares Skip in the world?
Well, my next adventure is one thing that scares me. What does Skip? I don't know. Obviously, we're saying about sort of what's next, and one of the things I put out a bit of an idea on my social media about. It's called the Bliss Canoe Trail, and it's 862 miles, something like that. It's the biggest sort of circular route that you can do on the canals and rivers in the UK. It was set up, I think it was William Bliss back in the 1930s or something like that, and it's only been done in one hit by sort of like two times. So once was, I think, 1993 or something, two guys in a canoe did it, and then 2017 three guys in a two-man canoe did it. So they did it on a rotation basis, and because I've been thinking, right, what do I do next? I was thinking, right, well, I could do that. Do it now, maybe September. 862 miles. It's got a lot of portages. I'd be unsupported, so I'd be, in a single canoe carrying all my stuff. It's gonna be it'll be a big thing. It's not really the best time of year to be doing it. Something I'd obviously much prefer to be doing in, somewhere when there's longer daylight hours. It means more paddling, and there's all these unknowns, and I've got limited planning time between sort of now and we're a couple of days off start of September, which is when I'll be sort of looking to start. Don't want to leave it too late because we start getting closer to autumn winter. There's all these things, and that, I have to admit that it was a scary prospect, and it's probably held me back a little bit in a way. But then, I don't know, it's all right. It's good to be scared about stuff, I think. Lets you know you're alive. And, but then it's like, right, okay, can I overcome this? Yeah, I think so. As it is, I don't think I'm going to do it for in September for different reasons. But I was like, I had to sort of check myself as to oh, am I scared about this? It scares me. Okay, well, fine. Like I say, I think it's okay to admit that some things can be a bit scary.
That's all part of the battle, isn't it?
Yeah,
maybe feeling overwhelmed and then actually having that internal conversation.
Am I biting off more than I can chew type thing?
Yeah.
There was a point before I started the paddle. I was like, oof, the reality was setting in, and I was not far from start, and I was like, oh, am I being an idiot? Am I being just a little bit too, I'm going to be on a 14-foot piece of foam covered in a thin layer of carbon, carrying all my stuff, and I'm going to be out there on my own in all sorts of ocean conditions. Is it just a little bit too stupid an idea to be doing? So, but yeah, I think that's all right. It's probably healthy to do sort of have certain things that maybe pop up and go, oh, this is a bit scary, but then it's well, okay, well, it's let's push on through it. It's let's tackle it. Let's do it. I've given up my job. I gave up my job just for to start the paddle, essentially.
It's a scary unknown on the other side.
So now that's a scary unknown. So I guess I've got a few things like that in my life at the moment now. So it's in one way it's good, it's free, but I know I need to sort of now look at what I'm going to do. For me, hopefully what I want to do is do something that sort of aligns a little bit more with I guess where my values are at, and that hopefully makes a good positive impact on the world and stuff like that. I guess that's what I'm going to be looking at doing. But it's scary because what if I don't find that, and what if I'm at some point I need to have money coming in. We all do. But I think it's a good experience for me to go through personally, and that I'll grow from, and it'll be good because it'll adjust the way I spend, which is probably good for me. We're in this very consumer-driven society, and one of the things I've been trying to work on personally is not buying stuff all the time. Going back to this sort of trying to minimize things in my life, and live with less and appreciate what I have, and all that sort of stuff. So it's hopefully this period I'll be learning stuff, but it will be scary at the same time because it's money will run out quickly. So that's scary. What if I don't find a job and this, that, and the other? So
always progressing. I'm sure you'll manage that. It's one step at a time, isn't it? Again, you'll manage it when it comes along, when it's in front of you. I think there's
absolutely. In some respects, I'm not that worried. I think you've got to be positive about it, and just. A friend of mine has sort of opened me up to the idea of sort of asking the universe a little bit more for things. It sounds a little bit sort of hippie, new agey maybe in a way, but I think there's definitely something in it of sort of just putting it out there to the universe or whatever you want to call it, but setting out that intention, I guess. And if you put it out there to the world, to the universe, and I think there's more chance of it sort of coming back and things happening for the right reason.
Yeah, I think it comes back to that energy. Maybe it's not something you can easily put into words, but I think energy does impact a lot of what happens in the world. For me, anyway, I know that's rung true for me.
Yeah.
And I think the sort of thoughts that you put out and what you feel like you deserve.
Yeah.
That mostly comes true. Maybe it's obvious to some people or not to others, but it'd be interesting to see how that plays out for you.
Yeah, it will be interesting.
Before we get on to the last question, where can people follow you, find you online maybe, to keep up with future adventures and stuff you've got going on?
I'm on Insta is where I kind of put up most of the stuff. So I'm Barefoot_skip. So you'll find me there, or you can put in the hashtag 2-minute paddle, because that was the hashtag I was using through the paddle, so that'll bring up some of my posts. So should be able to find me there on Insta.
People can still donate to the paddle as well?
I've just, funnily today, I just transferred over the £1,500 that I raised from the paddle to 2-minute beach clean. So that's going to help them with continuing on with the amazing work that they do. But the GoFundMe's still open. So so if people want to donate, that'd be fantastic. All the money will go to 2-minute beach clean. They can also make donations direct on the 2-minute beach clean website. There is a donate button, I'm sure, on their website somewhere there anyway, so they could always just go direct, which is fine. Or watch the space for probably the next one, where I'll probably be asking people for donations. But generally I'm on Insta. I got my personal page on Facebook, which is Skip Graham. Happy to have people connect on there if they want. There's if you go to barefootskip.com, there is a website as well, so they can email me through that. So if they do want to get in contact for anything, I'm open. If someone wants to be going out and doing their own adventure and they need advice, by all means, get in touch. If I can help in any way, more than happy to help. Love to see people get out there and have their own adventure, whether it's just a little overnight bivvy somewhere, or a week, or a year. You see people doing stuff that goes on for that last years. That's amazing stuff. 5 weeks is kind of nothing in comparison to what some people are doing. So but if anybody wants to get in touch, by all means, I'm always happy to help if I can.
Fantastic. For the last question, if you had a phone call to the 18-year-old Skip, what advice do you think you'd give to him?
Wow, 18-year-old Skip was so different to who I am now. There would be a lot of advice to give him.
All right, you got 2 minutes on the phone, so we're capping it.
Jesus, 2 minutes. Get your work-life balance sorted, I think. We're on this earth for a short amount of time. Get out there, enjoy life. Just get outside, get involved with things. Give back as well. Get involved with stuff where you're doing stuff, you get nothing in return. It's just about helping others. I think there's so much fulfillment in anything that you can do where you can assist somebody else, which I guess is gaining something. That's a weird one, but you know what I mean. I think giving back, giving to either other people or just to the planet in general, which is where I think sort of getting out there and doing something like a 2-minute beach clean or something where you don't necessarily get something back. It's about giving. What else? Just live with less. Less is more. You don't need so much stuff. Stop spending lots of money on stuff that you don't need. I've done a lot of that. There's a lot of advice I could give 18-year-old Skip. But I'm happy with where I am now. Like everything, it's been a journey, and I think I've changed a lot. Hopefully for the better. And I know I've got a lot of changing to do still. And my journey is still in its infancy. I think the path is out there, and I'm kind of looking forward to it all. So, and I guess my advice to other people would be to sort of get up there and get on their own journey, find out what it is that's going to make them happy and fulfill them, and make the world a better place, and all that sort of jazz.
Fantastic. Well, it'd be lovely to have you back for another conversation at the next stage in your journey. After the next adventure.
Happy to come back. Thank you very much for having me. I hadn't heard of your podcast, and then when you got in contact, and I had a little listen. It's cool, and it's hopefully, whether it's this episode or some of the other episodes that you've done, hopefully it brings about positive change in people's lives and stuff. So it's really cool. A lot of time for what you're doing. It's excellent.
Thank you. It's kind of that principle of what we were talking about before, where even if it's only seen by like 30 people or 40 people, like you can impact like one person in that, and then they make a change. And I think that's a really worthy thing to spend your time on. And
like you might impact that just one person, but that person might go on to do who knows what else. It's where the world was like 7 degrees of separation, and now actually our degrees of separation are like 1 or 2 or something crazy, isn't it? So you'd never know who's going to pick up on that one podcast that you do or something like that, and it just might change their life exponentially and then have this massive impact. Maybe they go on to design, I don't know, amazing battery storage for solar panels that then takes us away from fossil fuel driven world that we live in, or it could be anything. You know what I mean? They might become the next president of the United States because they need one. Or all sorts of stuff. Not that we can talk in this country, but so you never know who it might impact and the massive difference that might make to the world around us.
Very true words. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the conversation. Skip, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're a true legend, and I wish you all the best for your future adventures and like all the new changes you're making in your life. It's really inspirational for me, and I'm sure for everyone who's listening today as well. Everyone, please do get on Skip's Instagram, go on the GoFundMe, put some money in there, or if that's then closed, please go on the 2 Minute Beach Clean website where you can donate as well. It's a really worthwhile cause. And also get out there and do your own 2 Minute Beach
Absolutely.
Clean.
I highly recommend it. And you don't even have to be, like I say, you don't have to be at a beach.
2 Minute Street Clean, isn't there?
It's so they have there's 2 Minute Little Pig, 2 Minute Street Clean, and so so you'll see a lot of the A boards now, popping up in towns and villages and stuff like that. It's like I say, like almost 800 boards now, and it's growing all the time. And it makes such a big difference. And like I said, it just leads on to lots of other stuff, and I think people get a lot out of it, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's never been easier to make a good impact in that issue. So for sure, get
absolutely
out there. Nice one. Well, if you as the audience have enjoyed the show today, do like and subscribe to Second Mind. It really helps the podcast and keeps the positive movement going. This is me and Skip signing off. Thank you all for listening. Peace and love to everybody. Pleasure.